My father looked me in the eyes and gave everything to my stepbrother. The house, the company, the name. I didn't argue, didn't beg, didn't fight. I smiled and walked away. They thought I was broken. 6 months later, I owned the building they worked in. I owned the debt they were drowning in. And the man who replaced me as a son was begging me to save his life. This is how I destroyed them without raising my voice. My name is Ethan Calloway. To the world, my father was a legend, self-made businessman, real estate tycoon, a man who turned a small construction company into a multi-million-dollar empire. To me, he was a man who stopped being my father the day my mother died. I was 12. Cancer took her in 11 brutal months. After the funeral, my father changed, not with grief, with silence. He buried himself in work, and 2 years later, he married Linda, a woman with a fake smile, and a son already waiting to take my place. His name was Ryan, my stepbrother, 1 year older than me, charming, smooth, and always watching. From day one, I knew I had competition. At the dinner table, at school events, in my father's office. Ryan called him Dad within 6 months. I waited 3 years, and he still never called me back into his life. People think I was a spoiled rich kid. They're wrong. By 16, I was working summers at our construction sites. By 20, I was reviewing contracts. By 24, I was closing deals my father no longer had the patience for. The company grew faster under my guidance. New properties, new investors, new cities. Quietly, I became the engine. My father became the face. Ryan partied, drank, flashed money. But at family dinners, he acted like the golden son. And my father believed him, because Ryan gave him something I never could after Mom died, a fresh start. My father had a stroke at 63. He survived, but the damage rewired his decisions. Hospitals, doctors, limited mobility, and suddenly, they started whispering without me. Meetings I wasn't invited to, documents I wasn't shown. Then one morning, I got the call. Your father passed peacefully in his sleep. Peaceful, funny word for betrayal. At the will reading, I sat across from Linda. Ryan sat beside her, hands folded, prepared. The lawyer opened the folder and read my execution. Full ownership of Calloway Development and all associated assets is granted to Ryan Calloway. My ears rang. My vision tunneled. Ryan inhaled slowly, trying not to smile. Then the lawyer continued. Ethan Calloway will receive a severance payment of $50,000. The company alone was worth over $70 million. Linda placed her hand on Ryan's arm, like a queen blessing her heir. I looked at my stepbrother. He finally smiled. Outside the office, Ryan waited for my reaction. Anger, tears, violence. Instead, I smiled. I shook his hand, and I said, "Congratulations, brother. You earned it." That smile confused them. They expected destruction. What they didn't understand was that the moment I lost everything, I was finally free to destroy them without mercy. 3 days later, I returned to my office. My key card didn't work. Security stopped me. "New orders?" they said. Ryan didn't even face me. From behind the glass walls, he had me removed like a criminal. My desk was emptied into boxes. My name disappeared from the website. 20 years of loyalty erased in one afternoon. I stood in the parking lot and watched them celebrate inside. And I smiled again. What no one at that company ever understood was that I wasn't just a business executive. Before I joined my father's company, I had quietly built something of my own. A private investment firm, silent partners, global clients. No public connection to my last name. For 5 years, I studied how empires fall. Debt chains, over-leveraging, hidden liability traps. Ryan inherited a kingdom built on borrowed confidence, and I knew exactly where the cracks were. Ryan's first mistake was ego. He borrowed against the company to expand fast, too fast. Luxury renovations, high-risk developments, foreign investors with dirty money. I funded the debt through proxy firms. I became his largest invisible lender. He didn't know my face, but he carried my rope around his neck. Every expansion he celebrated, I engineered. Every loan he signed, I owned. Every investor he trusted answered to me. The company started bleeding. Cash flow slowed. Projects stalled. Ryan panicked and borrowed more, just like I knew he would. That's how drowning people die. They don't sink. They thrash. 6 months after the inheritance, Linda called me. Her voice wasn't confident anymore. Ryan says the company is under pressure. I laughed softly into the phone. That's business. She hesitated. You don't have to be bitter, Ethan. Bitter? No. I was surgical. On a Monday morning, 4 major credit lines were frozen. Projects halted overnight. Contractors walked off job sites. Ryan arrived at the office to find no access, no liquidity, no escape. He screamed at partners, threatened banks, accused investors. But the truth was simple. Every door he ran to, I had already locked from the inside. That night, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered, heavy breathing. Ethan, I need your help. For the first time in my life, my stepbrother sounded small. I replied calmly, you wanted everything. Handle everything. Then I ended the call. 2 weeks later, federal investigators raided their headquarters. Foreign money laundering, loan manipulation, tax evasion. Ryan didn't even know which deal killed him first, because I had stacked all of them into one unstoppable avalanche. At the debt auction, I arrived under a different entity and bought the company for 7 cents on the dollar. Same buildings, same employees, different owner. Ryan watched from the back of the room as his life's inheritance was sold to a stranger. That stranger was me. The auction hall wasn't loud. It was tense. The kind of silence where money breathes. Men in tailored suits, investors with eyes like knives, numbers flashing across giant digital screens like weapons. Ryan sat in the back row. No confidence. No mother whispering plans into his ear. Just a king without an army, waiting to be replaced. Property after property fell. Warehouses, luxury condos, office towers. Each hammer strike erased a piece of his identity. Then the final listing appeared. Callaway Development Holdings, the heart of the empire, my father's life's work, Ryan's entire personality. The starting bid dropped. 7 million, 8, 10. Ryan stood up without realizing it. My representative raised the paddle. 13 million. Silence swallowed the room. No one challenged it. The hammer hit. Sold. Ryan dropped back into his chair. Because the empire he stole had just been sold to a stranger. 3 days later, he stormed into headquarters. Security didn't stop him. Not because he still mattered, but because desperate men don't ask permission. He sprinted through the lobby, past the new logo, past the employees who looked through him like air. He reached the executive floor. The glass doors slid open, and the name hit him. Ethan Callaway, chairman. His legs failed. My assistant said calmly, "He's expecting you." Inside the office, I stood by the window. Same skyline, same city, different owner. I turned and smiled. The same smile I gave him outside the will office. He dropped to his knees immediately. No pride, no brotherhood, no lies left to hide behind. "You planned this?" His voice cracked like broken glass. I said nothing. "My mother, she's under investigation." Still silent. "They froze the accounts, seized the properties. We're finished." Finally, I spoke. "This is what it feels like when someone deletes your future with paper." He cried. Not loudly, quietly, like a man suffocating under consequences. Linda was arrested at 6:12 a.m. Neighbors watched, phones recorded, social media exploded, charges, financial conspiracy, will manipulation, evidence tampering, influence abuse. The woman who once treated me like a disposable shadow left her mansion in handcuffs. I watched the clip once, then deleted it. Not out of mercy, but because the moment was complete. Ryan thought the company was everything. He never searched for the private records, because he never knew. My father had left one sealed document outside family control. In his handwriting, "If you are reading this, Ethan, then I failed you as a father. You were always my real son." That paper didn't change the verdict. It destroyed the lie he lived on. No shouting, no drama, only evidence. Transaction trails, forged timestamps, political favors turned into charges. Ryan sat empty. Linda wasn't allowed near him. Their lawyer tried one last lie. This was revenge. The judge cut him off. This was business. And that ended everything. Ryan received 11 years. Financial fraud, 6 years. Money laundering, 4 years. Obstruction, consecutive. Not overlapping. Linda got less. But enough to disappear from the world that once bent for her. Ryan looked at me one last time. Not like a brother, not like an enemy, like a result. 2 months later, the call came. "You won," I replied calmly. "No, I survived." Silence. Then he said, "Our father would have been proud of you." The line disconnected. That chapter closed forever. I didn't rebuild it in anger. I removed corruption, paid workers, sold the rot, protected the innocent. Then I changed the company name, because legacies born in theft don't deserve to live unchanged. 1 year later, I stood behind prison glass. Ryan didn't beg, didn't cry. He said quietly, "I thought power meant inheritance." I replied, "Power is what survives when inheritance disappears." He nodded once. That was the end of 2 brothers. My father gave everything to my stepbrother. The house, the company, the name. I smiled, and I walked away. Because battles aren't won with rage. They're won with patience and documentation. They thought they erased my future. In truth, they financed my return.